Okay, so this is just a bunch of random, well, not a bunch, but just a few random things that I wanted to talk about, and none of them was enough to really talk about in its own video. So that's it. Let me just go ahead and do it here. I shall turn you around. This will be more of a pen and paper video. Oh, that sucks. It's meant to hold the camera from the right. Now I need to get a tripod. Anyway, okay, so this is the first thing. These are both the same thing. You might recognize them. So, in a lot of over-the-counter, I guess it's all over the counter, but like these pre-made stacks, like like in a lot of energy shots and things, I've been seeing Phenibut listed as something like this. Okay, so that's what these are. These are just Phenibut. So you might see it as like beta phenol. I suck at Greek letters. This is supposed to be fuck. I don't know. It's supposed to be a gamma. I think that I don't know what a lambda. Whatever. Fuck it. Something that looks like this. Because the point is, it looks like different variations of this. Beta phenol GABA. This is supposed to be beta phenol gamma aminobutyric acid. So. Yeah, that's just what Phenibut is, and I'm just trying to point out that Phenibut is, I don't know why they're not listing it as that. I guess maybe it's just getting too much of a bad rep and they want to hide it, but I mean, in my opinion, this doesn't help because it makes it look like something even sketchier because it's, whenever you use a chemical name for something, I think automatically it just makes it seem sketchier. Like, this thing seems so novel, we don't even have a street name for it yet. But, whatever, anyway. I think that you should always Google all the ingredients on the back of something like that anyway before you ingest it. But, yeah, so that's all I wanted to say about that. I've made a Phenibut video already. And, if you see something, there's probably slightly different versions of this too. I think I've seen other slightly different ways that you can write the chemical whatever name for Phenibut. So yeah, that's that one. And then let's see. T slash okay. So NALT just stands for N-acetyl L-tyrosine. So sometimes you'll find tyrosine, sometimes you'll find NALT, which is just N-acetylated L-tyrosine. Or I would assume if it's going to be tyrosine, it's probably the L version, so they might just write tyrosine. So what this does, this is actually a pretty common ingredient. You're probably familiar with it. But in case you aren't, what this does, it's actually an amino acid, and it's used as ultimately to help make neurotransmitters like dopamine. So what this does, the reason that you would supplement with this, what the research has shown that it actually helps with is to help fortify you mentally, basically, against stress, which is an exciting thing because it's like a real adaptogen. Taking it when you don't need it isn't going to do any harm. It's just going to enhance you when you do need it. So it doesn't enhance you either. Like, it's not like, for like ADD, it might not be whatever. If you're just at baseline, it's really the only thing that it's good for, but it's a very important thing, is to help keep things that are stressors from depleting you and depleting your dopamine. So when I say stress, I mean this could be like it could be like heat, cold, like fatigue, just normal psychological like work stress, fatigue, whatever, sleep deprivation. It helps with all that. So, tyrosine or L-tyrosine. And again, that's, like I said, I don't have much to say about these, but really kind of what I had in mind when doing this video is just kind of some of the ingredients that I see a lot, or starting to see more in the case of like with Phenibut stuff, and trying to take and explain those a little more, because it is just, I do it for myself, so I understand it, and so I just figured I'd share it with other people. Tyrosine, of course, is like a staple in energy drinks and energy shots and all that jazz, and people pretty commonly take it on its own too. PEA is another one. This is phenethylamine. Now you could, well, I guess I'll just write that out too. So what I wanted to point out, there are two things that sound a lot like this. Can I write and talk at the same time? It's like phenethyl. You know what? Phenethylamine. So what I wanted to point out here, here's one of the things that sounds very much like it. There's also a phenylethylamine, but that is not what this is. It's the real thing. I think technically it's like the one that's important, at least. There's a one. Phenylethylamine, yeah. This is just phenethylamine, PEA. And then there's also, so I'm going to tell you what this is in a minute. I'm just trying to point out there's lookalikes here. Oops, did I move the camera? I wasn't paying attention. So I get PEA, phenethylamine, phenylalanine, okay? So it's not that either. But this is an amino acid. This is something that's used as like a resolving agent in chemistry. If you, I'm not going to go down that road. I mean, it's not really relevant, but I mean, it is like an important thing to know for some people. But in the phenethylamine, so why does this? Why is it important? Why is it in? It's interesting. It occurs naturally in your body. I think in like most or all mammals, actually. And it's related chemically to a lot of interesting compounds, like drugs, like, even like amphetamines and stuff. All kind, like more than that. Like, I think there's a plant, at least one of the poppy plants, actually, I think, that makes morphine out of, whatever. It's related chemically to a lot of drugs. But the reason that I'm pointing out here is not, that kind of chemistry so much, is just the, why phenethylamine itself is in supplements. It's because, well, I don't know, actually, if the way that they use it is justified. It's broken down really. Oh yeah, I should point out one more thing. It does act kind of like as a neurotransmitter in its own right. So, but the thing to point out too is that it's broken down very quickly in the gut, like in the small intestine specifically. So if you're going to take it, you need to either overwhelm that system with a pretty big amount of it. You have to take like several grams at once, or you take like an MAOI with it, and that will help too. So what this does, like in terms of subjective effects, oh yeah, so I did do it, by the way. My friend had some, and he had like a big bag of it. So it was kind of like in the glass, it was like this thick. It was like several grams. Like that's how deep it was. In a glass, and poured some orange juice over it, and took that. And so we just overwhelmed the body with it. I didn't take like an MAOI with it, and it's pretty interesting. But it doesn't. For one thing, it lasts pretty short. Like I'm thinking, like it was a while ago, but I want to say it was like 15 minutes is all that it lasted, maybe. Um, So, but the way while it lasted, how did it make me feel? Well, it was it felt it had it was kind of stimulating, but it also had like a sort of like anxiety to it. Um, it's a feeling that I'm struggle to articulate, but I've felt it before. It's kind of reminiscent of some other things. Uh, it did have a little bit of like the come up of acid in there, but it was not. I should use that pretty carefully because it isn't by no means psychedelic. When I say the come up, I mean like the part where you're kind of like stimulated, and there's maybe some, honestly, some sort of like anxiety, but not like crippling anxiety attack, just kind of like that. I don't even know if it's like real anxiety, but like what you'd feel maybe kind of in your stomach with it, kind of like butterflies, but a more extreme thing. Like, um, yeah, it was a pretty strong version of that though. Like it hit me pretty hard. Um, Kind of like a feeling like something's wrong. Like I think probably some epinephrine release was involved with that, but it was a bit much actually. I mean, it was a crackish sort of experience. I mean, it was pretty hard, and then it lasted like 15 minutes. So it was weird. It was interesting, but I really wouldn't want to do it all the time. Actually, I've never used it since then. I mean, it was just let me try it sort of thing. Um, so yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I'll circle this. That's the this is what PEA means. That was the phenethylamine. Um, And I thought there was, oh yeah, yeah, there was one more thing, synephrine. And again, this is something that I don't have a lot to say about. Pretty much just to say that is another thing that you see a lot in supplements, and it's like a knockoff ephedral. It's not a knockoff. It's related to ephedral, but it's like I don't know, a few times weaker, but it's the same idea. So that was it. That was all I really had to say. The alternate phenibutts that you'll see, a little word on tyrosine. Check it out if you haven't. It's a good one. And PEA or phenethylamine and synephrine. Kind of a weak version of ephedral. And alright, that's it.